Welcome to Game 2 of the 2014 NBA Finals. And yes, the air conditioning is working just fine.
Grown man move by LeBron James. He's in attack mode early. That's just a big-time finish.
Oh, Duncan on the follow. Ginobili on the drive and the finish. Flash goes inside and finishes. Green for three. It's good. James kicks it out corner to Bosh, an open three. It's good.
Welcome to NBA Tonight.
Hey there and welcome into Studio S. I'm Cassidy Hubbard alongside Ryan Russillo. LeBron and the Heat, they had 2 days to recover from Crampgate or whatever the clever people were calling Game 1. And the Heat, well, they have a history of bouncing back, looking for their 13th straight win following a loss in the playoffs. And LeBron, with extensive treatment over the last 2 days to recover from the cramps he suffered in Game 1. Looking to come out strong. Johnny Manziel in the crowd.
No flotation devices.
First quarter, as I said, coming out strong, and James throwing it down, taking the contact as well to get it to go. And James, he continued to be aggressive early on in this game, Ryan.
Yeah, he also wanted to call on almost every single drive. But here's the thing, not all of these worked out. That was a great dunk. But I loved what James did here early. He was so assertive. And it's like the running game in football. If you just show them that you're willing to run it, you have to think about it as a defense. And I thought that Wade and James early were aggressive. It didn't lead to a bunch of baskets, but it was a great sign.
Yeah, LeBron just 2 points, 3 turnovers in the first quarter, but you liked what you saw. Now, Duncan, on the other hand, he was aggressive and connecting.
Look at the big-to-big passing with these guys. I mean, Duncan has had such an easy run now through Game 1. Everything was right around the rim. You started to think, here we go again. It's going to happen in Game 2. And once you watch Splitter getting involved in this stuff, it was just amazing to think that, 3 assists for Splitter about 5 minutes into the game.
Well, Duncan, he had 11 points in the first quarter. And Duncan, well, he's owned the first quarter thus far. Let's hear from Eric Spoelstra.
Eric, what concerns you about the start San Antonio got to offense?
Triple penetration. We're getting into the paint, pick and rolls, or just straight line drives. We have to be able to contain the ball better.
So Eric Spoelstra saw what you saw. And Duncan, he's owned the first quarter thus far in the finals, averaging 9.5 points in the opening frame. As you can see, Duncan is getting everything he wants in the paint, not even attempting a shot outside of the paint in the series through 5 quarters play. All right, let's pick it up in the second quarter now. And LeBron, still aggressive, but connecting more in this quarter. Down by 6, LeBron spins past Marco Bellinelli and scoops it in.
You could see that one coming a mile away. We were sitting there watching the game together in transition. He kind of lulls you to sleep with this big dribble and then just attacks. And that was another great spin move. And this is where you started to see that aggressiveness earlier pay off. Everything's right around the rim, especially after that Chalmers miss.
Yeah, and after scoring just 2 points in the first, LeBron with 11 points in the second quarter. After this bucket, the Heat were up by 1.
That rebound was so smart, too, on the baseline, just right around Kawhi there on the right side.
Meanwhile, the Spurs star, again, off to a strong start. Tony Parker, just so great at finishing.
This outlet's insane. I don't even know why they bother, but Wade hasn't been super locked in at times defensively. Yeah. I really don't know if there's, you know what, I'm not going to even debate it. There's no point guard better at finishing in the multitude of ways that Parker does in the NBA.
Wow, that bucket would put the Spurs up by 4, but it'll be all tied up at 43 heading into half. And let's take you next level to show you how LeBron has attacked the basket in the first half of games in the finals. James had an average shot distance of 5 feet from the basket in the first half of Game 1, and it got even closer in Game 2 as his average shot was just 3 feet away from the hoop. And he kept it up in the third quarter, which I think was the most entertaining quarter of the game. Early on here, Tony Parker finds Kawhi Leonard open in the corner for 3.
Big shot there for Leonard. It always seemed like San Antonio responded when they needed to, but Leonard, big picture, has been very disappointing in the playoffs so far. 6 of 14 shooting, 2 boards and 3 assists through 2 games.
Here, Leonard, again, another 3 to put the Spurs up 4. And I said it was an entertaining quarter. It's because LeBron just got red hot. I mean, Twitter was all abuzz about, like, oh, it's getting heated. Someone turn the heat off.
Yeah, good jokes. A lot of good jokes tonight. I'm glad you were able to steal those.
Yep,
but this really
welcome.
was, as good as the second quarter was, Cassidy, I thought the third quarter, this really is one of those historic moments. You're going to remember the third quarter, game 2 of the 2014 NBA Finals, if the Heat win this thing, because James went off. He scored 12 of their 13 points in just about a 2-minute stretch.
And here, Patty Mills for 3. Spurs who lead by 1 heading into the 4th. And let's take a look inside the box score of the third quarter. It picked up the pace of the game as featured 6 ties and 10 lead changes after just 3 ties and 2 lead changes in the entire first half. And LeBron, he led all scorers with 14 in the quarter, and the Heat shot over 75% in the quarter. Well, everything happens in the 4th because that's when the game is decided. Pick it up, LeBron hitting the jumper as the shot clock expires to tie the game up at 85. Shortly after, look, Mario Chalmers driving. He hits Parker with an elbow to the chest, and Parker stays down after the play. What did you see?
Totally intentional. He did this so on purpose. I know afterwards LeBron said his teammate didn't, but that's because it's his teammate. It ended up being a flagrant, so that's 2 free throws and the possession. And you thought at this point, this is a great opportunity. Already up 2. But it ended up Parker missed his 2 free throws, Cassidy. Duncan gets fouled. He misses his 2. 4 straight misses from the free throw line. Devastating for the Spurs' momentum at that point. Parker came out for a little bit.
Well, that 3 put the Heat up 1, and then Diaw knocks down a 3 from the corner to tie it up at 90. Few plays later, Parker wide open.
2 years ago, Parker hit 23% for the season from 3. This year, 37%. And that's why LeBron's telling his teammates, you can't leave him the way you think you can because no one thinks Parker can stretch the floor. He hit a couple big ones again tonight.
Speaking of leaving him open, Chris Bosh, you can't leave Chris Bosh open in the corner 3, and he knocks that down. Huge 3 by Bosh. LeBron driving and fouled on the way up. He would make the first free throw, but misses the second. Heat up 96-93. Next possession, I don't like this from Manu Ginobili. What did you think about this possession?
In this matchup, he's got Ray Allen on him. You probably don't want a step-back jumper, but remember, to close this game out defensively, LeBron James switched on to Tony Parker, and that really slowed down what San Antonio was able to do.
And then here, Bosh driving and finds a wide-open D. Wade for the easy lay-in. Wade just left all alone. And the Heat with a strong 4th quarter to get the Game 2 win. 98-96 your final. The Heat have now won 13 straight playoff games following a loss and improved to 6-0 in Game 2s when trailing 1-0 in the James Wade-Bosh era. Now in the loss, Tim Duncan recording his 157th career playoff double-double, tied Magic Johnson for most double-doubles in playoff history. But the story of the game is LeBron James, 35 points, 33 of those points coming after the first quarter, also recording his 30th career 30-point, 10-rebound playoff game. Here's the King on the win.
When we get stops and we don't turn the ball over, we're a very dangerous team. In the first half or the first quarter, you know, they was in really, really good comfort, and they was getting 3s, they was getting layups. Tim Duncan got off to a quick start with 11. And after that, we just kind of get up in them a little bit more. And, you know, we started to turn them over. We started to make them miss shots, and we executed another end.
You know, it's a 48-minute game, and we didn't move it enough of those minutes, basically. It's how we have to score. We can't put it in somebody's hands and have them create everything for us. It's got to be a group effort, and we didn't do that. And that puts a lot of pressure on everything else. It means that we're going to have to be perfect on defense. It means we can't miss 4 free throws in a row. You know, those sorts of things. So you move it or you die.
We're built a little bit different, but we're built on player and ball movement. It's just in a different way, and you'll hear both sides saying that throughout the course of the series when you're able to get that movement or you're not able to get to it. And obviously, we don't take it for granted for having an end-of-possession weapon like LeBron.
Not trying to put the cart in front of the horse, but you know they say numbers never lie. And LeBron James.
Did we try out for that show?
Stop it. LeBron James put on a performance in Game 2 that appears to have him headed for a Finals MVP award. Over the last 30 seasons, there have only been 4 performances of at least 35 points and 10 rebounds on the road in a Finals win. Each player ended up winning the Finals MVP. Right, at the beginning of the show, I mentioned how the Heat, they know how to bounce back. And LeBron, well, he continues to show people he knows how to bounce back from games where he's criticized a lot, which we know he was criticized in the cramp game. Talk about his performance and what he did in this game.
Well, it's another legendary one, something you expect from the best player in the world at 29 years old, especially coming off a loss where in game one, who knows how it would have played out if he was able to play not the last 7 minutes, but maybe just the last 4 minutes. But you know, he is accurate when he told Michael Wilbon that there's no one else in sports that's a bigger target. And he's the biggest target because he's the best at what he does. To be a star in the NBA, when you're the best in the NBA, that means you're the most important athlete out there. There's not one player in the NFL that's as impactful as LeBron James is, certainly not hockey, certainly not baseball. So he's accurate in that. And when you're that invested in not liking him, you never want to change your mind, right? A lot of people now for 4 years have invested in the idea that LeBron's not that good. They haven't had a lot to say for 2 years of the championship. But then he comes out, has the weird ending of game one. No one knows physically what he's capable of or not. Really only he knows. So all those people resurfaced again. Clearly on a Sunday night, they're going to be pretty quiet.
Yeah, a little interesting note about LeBron's prep. He pretty much did everything normal, but he took a yoga class.
Girls are always trying to get guys to do that, too.
With 3 people from his hotel.
Imagine.
I'm guessing it wasn't Bikram. It wasn't hot yoga.
No,
stay hydrated.
That's good, yeah.
All right, the Heat have now gone 47 playoff games without losing back-to-back games. Still more to come, including what the Spurs need to do to avoid dropping back-to-back games. Plus, Chris Bosh coming up big in the clutch again for the Heat. Big shot Bosh is a trend. We talk about his sneaky goodness after the break. Rebounds, but Chris
shot then.
For bouncing back now, we've got more work to do.
The Miami Heat always bounce back in the Big Three era. They are now 6-0 in Game 2s after losing Game 1. The previous 5 times, they also went on to win the series. We will see. Chris Bosh, thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
All
Thanks
right,
a lot.
So Chris Bosh has really found his groove over the last 5 games, averaging 8 more points per game than he did over his first 12 games this postseason. Bosh has made 29 three-point field goals this postseason, more than he did in his first 3 postseasons in Miami combined, and including a huge three-pointer in this game. What impressed you the most about Bosh's game?
He had just missed that 3 earlier, and it would have been a huge shot then, and then a little bit later, it's a very similar play where he missed it against the Pacers, and it ends up being the end of the world. He hit it against the Brooklyn Nets, and so that was a great shot, so the back and forth. But what I love from Bosh tonight is that sometimes he can become very complacent in this offense, where he's trailing the action, and he's more of an outlet shooter, 17 to 20 feet. And the shots are wide open. They're great shots. He's a great shooter for a guy his size, but it also leads to him being inactive at times, where you go, hey, wait a minute, Chris Bosh has been out there for 5 minutes. Like, I'm not supposed to have to remind myself that a caliber player, his caliber, is disappearing a little bit. So I loved how active he was, especially early, and then the pass at the end to Wade really sealed the win for the Heat tonight.
Yeah, and that corner 3 is starting to become a go-to play.
Yeah, it's
for
his
the
side.
Heat.
He wants that.
Bosh with 18 points in the win. All right, well, just like last year, the Spurs, they take Game 1. The Heat take Game 2. And LeBron continuing to show he can be an unstoppable force. More reaction from the Heat's Game 2 win after the break.
As you would expect, the response from Miami in Game 2 after the tough loss in Game 1, a very physical game. Both teams going at it. And although San Antonio went up by 11 in the first half, Miami answered in a big way. Despite all the players going down in a heap, the guy that went down in a heap in Game 1 was the one who was brilliant in the second half in Game 2. LeBron James, as we would expect, Mark, his response to what happened in Game 1 was typical LeBron James.
And you recognize his response very early. He was in attack mode offensively. Didn't get it going, but he was putting pressure on the Spurs defense in transition, the great spin move. How about getting the smaller matchup, getting to the offensive boards? Isolation jump shot, one-on-one with Kawhi Leonard. Good defender, but better offensive guy. You put him in pick-and-roll situations, knocks down the jumper. And then I love this, 1:19 left to go, you're down 1, unselfish, makes the right play, 3-ball, corner pocket, Bosh puts them up 2, and they coast to victory.
When you look the way he started, first quarter he was 1 of 4. He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter, but even with that, Jeff, you thought that you still liked the way he came out to start the game.
I love the tone he said, because anytime he's going at the basket, you're going to get an aggressive response. When your leader plays hard and to the rim, everyone else will follow. I thought Bosh attacked more than normal. I thought they played a very, very good fourth quarter tonight.
You were both critical of the Heat defense, or lack of, early in the game for an NBA Finals performance, yet they turned it around, especially the way late that they defended Tony Parker.
Yeah, second and fourth, I thought they defended much better. And I think when they put size, Wade and James on Tony Parker, they have to defend differently. So here, as the ball goes to the basket, James does not need help on Tony Parker. He can recover and alter the shot. So Ray Allen makes a mistake there, getting sucked into the lane, doesn't recover for the 3. But look at this. Parker, one-on-one with James. The 2 guys guarding the perimeter players there stay at home. They force the strip out of bounds. This is how they have to defend Tony Parker. And I think San Antonio is in a bit of a quandary. How do they respond when size goes on Parker to keep him effective?
How about when you played and they put a big guy on you to stop? How do you respond?
Well, you've got to have guys still looking to make plays. It's tough to have a bigger guy on you because it eliminates the help. But at the end of the day, the difference with the Miami defense was they played with a sense of urgency, and they gave great multiple effort plays.
And also the difference between games 1 and 2, LeBron James was on the floor in the fourth quarter of game 2. No leg cramps tonight here in San Antonio. Just a brilliant second half as the Miami Heat once again bounce back after a playoff loss and even things up at 1 apiece as the NBA Finals now shifts to Miami for games 3 and 4.
Something developing late Sunday. We see everything here at ESPN. Brian Windhorst pointing out that LeBron tried to call timeout before that Wade layup that put them up 5, pretty much putting the game out of reach. Ryan, big deal or not?
Not a big deal at all. I guess some people will turn it into something else, but there are timeouts that are attempted to be called all the time at the end of close games. Coaches will ask for them, and in that spot, the official is looking at the ball handler, and there's moving parts or towards the end of the shot clock. So, yeah, they missed it, but, I mean, this happens a lot.
Yeah, and I don't think Spurs fans are going to point and be like, that's why they lost this game.
You're still losing.
Yeah, and that's why they snapped their 9-game home winning streak. And the NBA Finals, it's all tied up at a game apiece as the series now shifts to Miami.
Incredible competition looking more edible. Waging war with a lore gonna be regrettable. People like you are so easily forgettable. Playing against me, son, your talents ain't accessible. I'm sick of you. You can't defeat my strategy. That goes for your whole team, boy. It's a tragedy.